Hello, everyone. This is Leah Klein, Health and Wholeness Coach. And today, my question for you is salt good for you? Our verse is Matthew 5:13. You are the salt of the earth, and if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. Now, in our context of our verse, it's calling us to be salty, to be different, to be the flavor of the world, to actually, the preserving of the world. Because at this time, when you think about salt, you have to think about it in terms of, a couple thousand years ago. Salt was one of the few ways they had of preserving anything. So a lot of what they would have immediately thought of when it came to salt would have been, preserving food, because they didn't have refrigeration. Things did not keep. And also their salt was not the kind of salt that, the white stuff in the shakers. It wasn't that 2,000 years ago. They did not have the ability to purify it to that level, which is not always a good thing. We'll get to that in a second. But if the salt really wasn't any good, at that time it was a practice to just use it on the roads. And that's where, what some of the wording in our verse comes from. And it's, so think about that in terms of we're supposed to stand out. We're supposed to be the flavor, the taste. We're supposed to be the preservative of the world. Because, I was recently reading, about Sodom and Gomorrah, and speaking of salt, but it was Lot and his family were not salt enough to preserve, the corruption. They were becoming corrupted themselves. And we have to have a presence. We have to be actually voting. We have to be doing something, and not just, oh, Jesus is coming back tomorrow, so I'm not going to do anything. It's like, that is not acceptable. That is not what God had in mind. You are not being salt at that point at all. He wants us to take part in the areas he has placed us in, and to have influence in ways that have a preserving effect on our world and on our society. And the fact that for the last couple hundred years, people have been thinking, oh, I'm being raptured out tomorrow, so who cares? The society has gone downhill because people are not participating to the level that they were in the past. And, part of that is, we've also gotten less and less in our educational system, has just exasperated that. But anyway, side issue about what's actually going on right now. Now, back to salt for a sec here. Yes, most of what you find in food and, in those white salt acres that are on everybody's tables is bad. It can raise your blood pressure. And guess what? Want to know why it's a problem? Is because just like white sugar, white flour, it doesn't have everything there still. When things are refined and purified, the stuff is not there still that was originally found with it. So if you actually look at natural salt, either, Celtic sea salt is one of the ones. I use, like Himalayan salt, or, salt found in nature is not white in color. It has other minerals in it. The sea salt is actually more of a gray in color, and it's more noticeable when it's in bigger crystals. The body actually needs those other minerals in order to be able to process it, to know what, how to process it within the body. It needs those other minerals, and so it will have to borrow those minerals from other parts of the body in order to actually try to do something with that salt when you ingest it. So this is why salt is necessary. Salt is a part of sodium is part of our bodies. We need it, but we don't need straight sodium chloride. We need trace elements with that allow our body to not have high blood pressure necessarily after having the salt. And it also, you might think of your tears, of course. Yes, that's one of the places that it is. It's also your entire lymphatic system is salt-based. It's a saline, solution that exists in. And all of those solutions that are in your body actually are like what is found naturally in seawater with those other minerals present. So it's something that's part of our body. It is a necessary element, but no, you shouldn't eat the refined stuff. It's not good for you. So back to our original, are you being salty? Is my question for you. If you don't feel like maybe you're not being that as much as you could be, ask God to help you. And I also wanted to announce to you that the in-person retreat in February is actually being postponed a few months, so we can bring you a virtual retreat that anybody can participate in. And that's the Prosper Virtual One-Day Retreat, March 25th. So it's a Saturday. And you can jump in on that from anywhere. Halfway decent internet connection probably would be helpful, but otherwise you can do that from anywhere. And the link will be coming soon for that. We're still in the process of putting all that together, but put that on your calendar, March 25th. And the cost is going to be $67 per person. And so I just wanted to make you aware of that little update. We decided to focus on this and focus on something that actually more people will be able to participate in first. We will still be doing in-person retreats. It's just going to be further down the road. So let's wrap up our time with "Come, now is the time to worship." And feel free to sing along or just listen. Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God. Come. One day every tongue will confess you are God. One day every knee will bow. Still the greatest treasure remains for those who gladly choose you now. Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come. And I will see you again next week. See you then.